Well, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome the very first motivational guest to the Leaving Nothing to Chance podcast. And that's my new friend from Mexico, Mariel Hawley. And welcome, Mariel. How are you today?
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure for me being here, and I feel honored that you invited me to share with you and the people who will listen to us my story, my lifetime story.
Well, I want to tell everybody a little bit about you, and so I'm going to just read over on my computer here a little bit about your background. That you're one of 19 people, according to Wikipedia, that have actually swam the Ocean 7 project. And what actually is that? It's number one, swimming the North Channel, which is between Ireland and Scotland, which is 21 miles of swimming. I'm tired already just saying that. Secondly, the Cook Strait between New Zealand's North and South Island, 16 miles. The Molokai Channel between Molokai and Oahu, 27 miles. The English Channel between England and France, 21 miles. The Catalina Channel between Santa Catalina and Los Angeles, 21 miles. The Sagara Strait between Honshu and Hokkaido Islands in Japan, 12 miles. And the Strait of Gibraltar between Spain and Morocco, 10 miles. On top of that, you were the first Mexican woman to complete the Triple Crown, which is the English Channel, Catalina, and Manhattan Island, and you were the first Mexican female to do all of these things. So all I can say is, wow, I'm tired just reading it, to say the least.
Thank you.
So
For the last probably 20 years in my life, I've been swimming.
Wow. It's incredible what you've done, and inspirational. And of course, you've done a lot of other inspirational things that we'll talk about. But let's stick to the swimming for a minute. Which was the toughest and why?
I think the English Channel. The English Channel had like a special history in my family. I had a grandfather who had crossed the English Channel. So this was like a part of my family, you know. The English Channel was something that I've heard since I was a young girl, and I listened to my granddad, and he said, well, he told me the story about his crossing of the English Channel, and he was not crossing the English Channel, or he didn't cross it swimming. He was part of the English Army for the First World War. So the very first time I heard this story, it was something that I couldn't understand. It had no meaning for me, you know, being in the war, being a soldier. But then when I started growing up and I could realize what had been his story, I was impressed with this. And then I found out that you could swim the English Channel. And my favorite sport or my favorite activity since I was like maybe 3 or 4 years old was swimming. So I said, I want to swim the English Channel, just like my grandfather did. And at that moment, I didn't realize what I was saying. I just had this dream of swimming the English Channel. So I think that I worked very hard for the swim. I had been swimming for the last maybe 10 years, no? Every day having the English Channel in my mind. I even was part of a relay, a team, Mexican team, that we did a 4-way crossing of the English Channel. So that was my door, like, to say it in a way, in order to become an English Channel swimmer. But then at that moment, I did it on a relay. I was part of the relay. We did it in 2007. We did a 4-way crossing of the English Channel, and we did great because, well, we did almost an hour less than an Australian team that had established the record. So at that moment, I was like, wow, this is the English Channel. We did it. We did a 4-way crossing. We did a Guinness record, which is still, you know, it's still, I don't know the name of the word. I mean, it's still vigente. And then at that moment, I realized that what I wanted to do next was my individual swim of the English Channel. So I started working since maybe 2007 in order to become an individual to become an English Channel swimmer, but not as part of a team, but as individually. And I shared all this with my father. My father was great as a team member, as to say it in a way. And he was he was a doctor, so he was gonna be my doctor on board for the boat on the English Channel. And he passed away 3 months before my swim. So that was a very hard moment, and I had to make up my mind if I was ready to do the English Channel swim or not. So I finally decided that I was doing the swim. So it was very hard because of, I think, both things. First, I had this emotional part that was very, well, very personal, no? I was missing my dad. I knew he was going to be so proud of me swimming the English Channel. I had worked with him a few years ago in order to raise funds for surgeries. So I knew that I was swimming at that moment in the English Channel, and that part of what I was doing was also I was raising funds for surgeries. So my father was not, he was not alive anymore, but I knew that in a sense, in a way, he could realize everything that I was doing. And also, I had a terrible day to swim the English Channel. And that's something that I didn't know it was going to happen. And I started swimming around 8:30 in the morning. And Mike Oram, who is the captain of the boat, who was the captain of the boat, and he's still captain of the boat for escort boats for swimmers in the English Channel, he called me the night before and he said, Mariel, you have your opportunity tomorrow. The only thing is that you're going to start with wind, and we are wishing for the wind to, not to decrease during the day. But the call is yours, so you decide whether you want to try it or not. And I had been waiting in Dover for almost 9 days. And when he told me that next day was going to be my last opportunity, I said, I want to try it. I'm going to give it a try. So I was there swimming for almost 9.5 hours. I was becoming very cold. I had started at 8 in the morning, so I knew it was around mid-afternoon. It was going to be soon. It was going to be, dark, and I thought I was going to be colder. And the wind had increased instead of decreasing. So I was swimming with high surf, and I was, it was very hard. It was a very hard swim. It was rainy, a little bit rainy. It was very windy. It was cloudy. I was getting very cold, and I thought, what am I doing here? I mean, what am I doing here? I couldn't even see France from the point I was at that moment. I was almost about 9.5 hours into the swim, and I was just there in the middle of the channel, not knowing if I was going to be able to keep on going or not. So that was very hard. That was a hard moment because I knew I had to stop to drink my feed. Every half an hour, I have a drink. And at that moment, I was very cold. I was, shedding water. I don't know how to say this in English. I was just there waiting for my bottle to be thrown from the boat. And I was in a terrible moment in my life because I shouted, I can't keep going. I want to get out of the water. I can't keep going anymore. I don't want to swim anymore. And when I realized that I was saying these words, I started crying. I was giving up. That's what I realized at that moment. No, after shouting, I don't want to be here. I want to get out. I'm not ready to keep swimming. I'm very cold. I don't want to keep swimming. When I realized I was saying these words, I started crying because I realized I was giving up on a dream that I had for almost half my life. No, so I decided at that moment that I was going to swim for half an hour, just half an hour. But in that half an hour, I had to make up my mind. I had to really decide if I was gonna, jump into the boat or keep going. So it was a very complicated moment of not only of my swims, but of my life, because, well, that meant that either I had two options, no? Either to keep swimming until I got to France. How long was it gonna take me? I didn't know at the moment, or jump into the boat and just call the swim, forget about it, and have another try. So during that half an hour, many things came into my mind. No, my father, my grandfather, my children who were waiting for me in Dover, and they were hoping for their mother to finish the English Channel swim. You know, I had the surgeries in my mind, surgeries for children with cleft lip and palate. So I didn't have to think anymore. I just had to keep swimming, and that's what I did. I kept swimming and swimming and swimming until I got out of the water 14 hours and 33 minutes.
Wow. Incredible, incredible. We can stop the interview right there and everybody just got inspired. It's an incredible
Thank you.
Story and so motivational. And so let me ask you this. So thinking of your granddad as you swam, that your granddad was going for a much different purpose, obviously, way back World War I. What was just your emotions or maybe inspiration thinking of his journey there versus your journey there?
I think that, well, at that moment when I was almost about to quit, I remember what he had told me a few years before, when he said that when he was on the boat crossing the English Channel, the only thing he wanted to see again in his life was the Dover Cliffs.
Mm.
I mean, when you start crossing the English Channel, Dover has these very high cliffs. So he was there at the middle of the channel and he was watching the cliffs, and he said that that's the only thing he wanted to see again in life. And I realized at that moment that what he was meaning is that if he saw the cliffs again, it's because he returned alive from France.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
He returned victorious, as to say it in a way. So I was there swimming and I said, this is such a different story. I mean, I also want to see the cliffs again. I also want to go to Dover again, but I also want to return victorious in a way that I know I can do it. And the only way for me to return victorious to Dover is because I had finished the swim. Otherwise, it was going to be like what happened. And I could say the water was very cold. I had a terrible day. It was very windy. I had, a huge surf, and it wasn't enough. So the only way I feel I could return victorious from this swim was to finish the swim. So that's what I did. I just finished.
Incredible. So what's the coldest water of all those channels? What's the coldest water?
I don't know. The North Channel. After swimming the North Channel, the English Channel is like jacuzzi time. Really. I mean, and it's only like about 4 or 5 centigrades difference, but it's such an impact in your body, because also the North Channel, swimming from North Ireland to Scotland, is almost as long. I mean, it's longer than the English Channel. The English Channel is about 21 miles and the North Channel is about 23, 24 miles. So 2 miles difference it impacts on you, but also the temperature of the water. I remember, let me tell you this story, because I felt I was very acquainted to cold water because I had swum the English Channel, and then I swam the Catalina Channel, and then I swam the Tsugaru Channel. So I felt confident with swimming in cold water. No? And in Mexico, it's complicated to have cold water. I mean, I live in Mexico City, but I mean, Tijuana, which is the northest in Mexico, the water in Tijuana doesn't get below 14, 15 centigrades. And I needed to train in water around 10, 12 centigrades. So I flew to San Francisco, California. And the first time I got into the water in San Francisco, it was the year 2018, and it was January, and I wanted to be in January in San Francisco because I wanted to swim maybe during the weekend that I was going to spend in San Francisco, like maybe 6 hours, not continuously, but I mean, I got into San Francisco on Friday and I wanted to swim for 2 hours, and then on Saturday another 2 hours, and then on Sunday before coming back to Mexico. After arriving into San Francisco, and the day was beautiful, January day, blue sky, sunny day, and I went into the water and I could only swim for like about 35 minutes. And it was so cold that my teeth hurt. It was terrible. And I got out of the water and I started crying because I said, how on earth I'm going to swim for 6 hours or more with this cold water? Because I had to do like a test. I had to swim 6 hours, and I had to swim 6 hours in water less than 13 centigrades. And I was there for 35 minutes and I couldn't keep going. So I was like, how on earth I'm going to do this? So, well, that was complicated. And then next day I swam for an hour. So I was so proud because I could be in the water for 1 hour. And then on April, I came back to San Francisco and I swam for 6 hours continuously. And the water was 13.2 centigrade. So that was not good enough for the North Channel. So I had to do 8 hours in water at 13 centigrades. So after doing this training of 8 hours, I came out of the water and I said, I'm going to swim the North Channel. I mean, 4 months ago, I could even stay in the water for more than 40 minutes. Today, I swam for 8 hours in San Francisco Bay. I went to the Golden Gate and then back, and then went to the Bay Bridge and then back, and then around the aquatic park. I felt like a seal and I could do it. So I felt so, I mean, that ensured me that I was going to be able to swim the North Channel. So I traveled to North Ireland, and I was in the place where the swim starts is called Donaghadee. It's a little town near Bangor, near, let me remember the city. Well, and I was there for about 2 days before my swim, or 3 days before my swim. So I wanted to swim in the bay to see how I felt. And I was so tremendously, I felt so strong because I thought that I had my training and that I was ready to swim. And yes, I was ready to swim. I had an extraordinary day in the North Channel. Very cold, but I could do it. And also what helped me to do the swim is something that maybe you will do a face like, what are you talking about? The jellyfish. The jellyfish. I had so many jellyfish stongs during the whole time that kept me thinking on something else instead of thinking on the cold water. Wow. It was impressive. I had never had so many jellies during my swim. And I swam the North Channel in 13 hours and 15 minutes. So that was the coldest.
Incredible. And I know you've encountered sharks as well in the water. So let me ask you this, Mariel. Sharks in the water, and then there's sharks in life, right? How do you deal with them, be it in both cases?
The hardest sharks are not in the water.
No, they're not.
I know it's complicated, and I had this encounter with the sharks during my swim at the Kaiwi Channel, Molokai Channel in Hawaii, which you have to swim from Molokai Island to Oahu. It's a very long swim. It's the longest of the Ocean 7 swims. It's almost 40 kilometers.
Mm.
It's longer than the English Channel, it's longer than the North Channel. It's very complicated. You have to swim through the night because you start swimming around mid-afternoon, and then you swim during the whole night because weather conditions are much better during the night. Then you have less wind, and it's better to swim during the night. And I had a lot of jellies also that time, but the water was not cold. I was swimming comfortable during the night. And the only thing I wanted is to see daylight again, okay? And I was getting a little bit cold. I had been in the water for almost 12 hours. I knew that after 12 hours, I was gonna be very near Oahu. No, so I wanted daytime to be, to the morning. I was wishing for the morning again. So when it started dawning and I could see the light from the sun, I said, the worst part is over. And I was thinking on this until I listened to a shout that said, Mariel, Mariel, there is a shark. So I was like, no, please, I thought that the worst was over, and where is the shark? And I was turning around, you know, maybe you saw the movie Jaws. So I was there in the water, trading water, and I was looking around me because I wanted to see the shark, and the shark was below me. So I wanted to walk on water, really. And the man who was kayaking for me, he said, what is it, Mariel? Come on, don't get distracted, keep on swimming. And I was like, how can you tell me not to get distracted? There is a shark. And he said, well, come on, it's only a shark. And when he said that, I was like, and he said, well, what were you expecting? You're swimming in the ocean. So that was very impressive for me. But also he said something. He said, Mariel, in order to swim the Kaiwi Channel, you have to overcome a lot of fears. And sharks is one of those fears. And I was like, wow, no, I mean, this is like a life lesson, and I'm here in the middle of the Kaiwi Channel receiving this life lesson. So I'm gonna repeat what he said. Okay, in order to swim our life channel, we have to overcome a lot of fears, and sharks are only one of those fears. And maybe you're gonna tell me, Mariel, come on, we won't encounter sharks. And I'm gonna answer to you, the worst sharks, I think they exist on the mirror when you look at the mirror, no? Because those sharks are terrible. We don't want those kind of sharks around in our life. So that's the reason I say that the most complicated and dangerous sharks are not in the water. The sharks that we have in our mind are the most dangerous. So I don't want to have sharks.
Well said. You know, I read your book a couple of times, Water Days, which we'll talk about as we get to the end, but I read Water Days a couple times since the weekend and really enjoyed it. It's very well written and inspirational. There's so much to it. We could talk on hours for it. But one of the metaphors that I picked up that you use is about the lighthouse that you saw on one of your swims. And you used that in such a way as inspirational, and it seemed like not only a motivational moment, but also a spiritual moment. If you want to talk about that a little bit, how that kept you going on one of your swims.
Yes, thank you. That's also during the Kaiwi Channel in Hawaii, because I was swimming, and I was swimming during the night, and I started feeling dizzy because you never have like a point that you can see, and everything moves, you know, and I couldn't see something that like, I was very dizzy swimming. So at what moment I saw a light, and at first I thought it was the light from the guiding boat. The guiding boat was a little bit further in front of me, and I thought that was the light from the boat. But that light started moving again, so I was more dizzy than before. And then I saw two lights, and I said, what is it? Why do the guiding boat has two lights? And then I realized that the second light that I had seen was the lighthouse from Oahu. And it was such great news for me, because I said, that's where I need to continue swimming. That's where I want to get. That's my finish point. And then I remembered when I was very young and I was spending a few days in Acapulco with my parents. Acapulco is a place in Mexico, a beach in Mexico. We go and have vacations there. And I was like about 5 or 6 years old, and I was during the night watching the ocean, and I saw a light that appeared and then disappeared and then appeared and then disappeared. And I asked my dad, what is it? Why is that light, appearing and disappearing? And he said, that's the lighthouse. And I had never heard of the word lighthouse, and I didn't understand what was the lighthouse. And my father said at that moment, he explained me that the lighthouse is like the guide for the boats that are traveling in the ocean. So when they see the lighthouse, the light from the lighthouse, they know that where to go. No, it's like they're guiding during the night. They guide during the night. So when I started seeing the lighthouse from Oahu, I realized that I was near. I was swimming in the correct way, and the lighthouse became my guide, my guiding point.
Great, great. So, I know one of the statements in your book is a warrior must know pain. And sometimes we hear of people doing amazing stuff like what you've done in your life. And we think, oh, this person has no problem. She gets up, she swims, she eats, she goes to sleep, she rests. No, you have gone through not only an incredible athletic accomplishment, but you've raised a family. And unfortunately, I know your husband passed away at a fairly young age during this whole process. And that statement, a warrior must know pain, that's got to be something very personal to you. You want to talk about how you've used that to motivate yourself and keep yourself going through the difficult times, as well as obviously the good times. The good times are easy to get through, right? It's those other times. So talk about that a little bit, if you would.
I think that's something that I have realized after what I have lived. When I finished the English Channel, a few years after that, I swam the Catalina Channel. My family kids were growing up. My husband was a lawyer. We were both working. And one day he started not feeling well, and he said, I'm not feeling well. And we never thought he had something complicated. So what happened is that he had brain cancer. So when the doctor, he asked for a meeting because he wanted to let us know the results of all the studies he had performed on Eduardo. We were there, and maybe we didn't know what to expect. He was not feeling well, but we never expected this complicated diagnosis. So when the doctor said that Eduardo had brain cancer, my world started at that moment to fall apart. It was so complicated to listen to this, and I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen next. So I don't want to talk a lot about this, but I can tell you that Eduardo went to under 3 surgeries, and he had all the chemotherapy and all the radiotherapy human can have. And I can tell you that he was so strong and so brave, and he was a great warrior because he was every day in 1 year that this cancer lasted in his life, he woke up smiling, and he was, all the time, he was like, what's next? I'm going to leave today, and I'm not in fear. And I was so impressed with his attitude, And I can tell you that after a year, we won a lot of battles, but now he's a star in the sky. And when he passed away, it was so painful for me and for my children that I thought that I was drowning in life. I could swim the English Channel, I could swim the Catalina Channel, but this kind of swim is much more complicated than an ocean swim. So when he was during his almost last weeks of life, we didn't know that. My son, Lalo, He didn't want to go to school anymore because he wanted to stay at home to take care of his dad. He didn't need to do that because, well, my husband was well taken care of. I was here with him. But Lalo, my son, he wanted to spend like most of his time with his dad. So I told him, Lalo, would you like to swim with me the Gibraltar Strait? Because we were hoping that my husband was getting better. We didn't know he was not getting better, but that's what we were hoping. So a few weeks after that, he passed away. At that moment, I didn't have any swim in my mind. I thought that I was never gonna return, to swim again. And Lalo, my son, he said something to me that shocked me because he said, Mother, I want to swim the Gibraltar Strait. And I was like, what are you talking about? We're not swimming anymore. And he said, no, yes, Mom, I'm going to swim with you the Gibraltar Strait. Andrea, my youngest daughter, is going to come with us because I want to swim this in order to honor my dad. So how could I say no if I had done the same thing with my own dad, like maybe 3 years before? So that's what I mean when I say that a warrior must know pain. It's this kind of pain. This is the kind of pain that makes you, that feels that your world is falling apart and then you have to start over again. And when we swam the Gibraltar Strait, it was a very special swim because at that moment, we as a family realized that life keeps going. It's very hard to say it in this way because when a person you love passes away, the pain is so strong that you feel that you cannot keep living. But then you realize that life keeps going and that you have to keep living. So that time I swam the Gibraltar Strait with my son and with my daughter, taking care of her mother. And
so Mariel, it's amazing the life that you've led, the people that you've inspired. So as we get to the end of this, let me ask you this. I know there's some things that you're doing to help other people. How can our listeners help those people as well?
Thank you. Thank you for asking me this because this is very important for me. And I think it's been part of my life since I was very young. My father, as I said before, he was a surgeon and he worked all his life in order to help people. My mother is a nurse. She's a nurse. So I think that I grew up with this, being daughter of a doctor and a nurse. So when I started swimming, open water swims, at that moment, I decided that I wanted to do something for someone else through my swims. I wanted to raise funds. I wanted to help other people. So Mexican poor or low-income people that had certain medical problems. So many years I swam in order to raise funds for children with cleft lip and palate for their surgeries. And that's something that my dad did also many years of his life. So that was very important for me, and I share this project with him. So that's the reason I swam for surgeries for children with cleft lip and palate. But then after my husband got sick and he had brain cancer, I decided that I also wanted to help other families that were dealing with a cancer problem. So I decided that I wanted to help a Mexican institution that works with low-income Mexican children with cancer. The name of this institution is Casa de la Amistad para Niños con Cáncer. The name in English would be like Friendship House for Children with Cancer. So if you let me, I would like to share the link of Casa de la Amistad para Niños con Cáncer. So if someone or that someone that is listening to us would like to donate, it would be great. I think that's something that we can do. what I've seen through this is that it's a way of thanking of every blessing that I have. No, when you donate, when you help other people, when you put your hand for someone else, it's a way of saying this. I've had so many blessings that this is a way I would like to thank, no, that kinds of all the blessings that I have. So I'm gonna share with you the link, and maybe you can share it with everyone who is listening to us. And I'm thankful for giving me the opportunity to express this, to ask for maybe your help, and for letting me share my story with you.
So it's friendship. Say it again in English, friendship.
And the name in English would be Friendship House or Friendship Home for Children with Cancer. In Spanish is Casa de la Amistad para Niños con Cáncer. I'm gonna share the link with you.
Okay.
Okay. And well,
I think I have to share my screen. Hold on, if I share my screen with you, I should be able to come up here, hopefully. Let's see, give me 1 second here, make host, there you go. Do you want to make the, okay. Yeah. There you go.
okay, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, just a second. I think that I don't need to share the screen.
Okay.
I'm going to write it down here in the chat section. So okay, this is the name of it.
All right. Okay, so it's in the chat section, folks. Okay, so look there. It's in Spanish. So you can look in the chat section. Casa del. So it's C-A-S-A. Whoops, C-A-S-A. Computers are not my friend today. Uh-oh, where'd it go? All right.
C-A-S-A-D-E-L-A, which is Casa de la Amistad, which is friendship, which is amistad.org.mx.
Great. So, so you can get to that, and if you'd like to help, that would be wonderful organization. And so what's next for you? What are you working on now?
I'm working on translating Corazón de Mar, which is a book I shared with you, and I'm working also in opening new swimming routes in Mexico. We have beautiful sites, and last year I swam the Bahía de Banderas. Maybe you know where Puerto Vallarta is.
Sure, very well.
Vallarta is in a huge bay, the second largest in America, just after the Hudson Bay in Alaska. So Bahía de Banderas is the largest bay in Mexico and in South America. So I swam from Punta de Mita to Cabo Chimo. That's a long distance swim. It was 34 kilometers. It's almost the distance of the English Channel, but it's from, one point of the bay to another one. And it was a great swim. And I'm trying to open new swimming routes in Mexico. Also, the year before that, I swam from San Jose del Cabo to Cabo San Lucas. Maybe you know Los Cabos. So it's also 32 swim. This year, I'm looking forward to swimming to Marietas Islands, also in Bahía de Banderas. And well, I'm working in a Mexican nonprofit organization. I work as my day-to-day daily basis work. And well, that's something that I need to be very concentrated. So I'm gonna keep swimming, I'm gonna keep writing, and I'm gonna keep working in order to swim and to write and to share more adventures with you.
Wow, you've had an adventurous life, to say the least. So last couple of quick questions. I know you met Michael Phelps. What was that like?
He was great. He was in Mexico a few years ago, and he was they were having a dinner party for him to celebrate him. And I was invited to the dinner party. And I remember that the whole week turned, the most important thing I had to do on that week was to go to the dinner. So when he arrived to the dinner, he was so normal, so like you and me, and he was smiling all the time. And maybe at that moment, he was not this huge figure he's now. I haven't seen him since that time. Maybe he continues to be like that. And he was so nice with me, and he was, interested in well, first that I was a Mexican. He obviously didn't know I was an open water swimmer. But when I told him that I had swum the English Channel, he was like, "Oh, really? You swam the English Channel?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I'm here with you." And I had a picture with him. So he was very, very nice. He was very young at that moment, but he was like this incredible swimmer. He had been, the top Olympian. It was about 4 years ago when he was here in Mexico, maybe a little bit more, 5 years ago. And well, it was very special for me.
Wow. Now let's talk about Water Days a little bit. And that's your book that is in both English and Spanish. I know it's on Amazon. Tell us a little bit about it.
That book I wrote after I finished the Triple Crown of Open Water Swimming. And that's the book I mentioned: my English Channel swim, my Catalina swim, my Manhattan Island swim. And people that have read this book, they come to me and they tell me, "Mariel, you make me cry." And I am like, well, I'm just sharing my emotions with you. So I think that more, instead of being a swimming book, it's more like an emotional book. No, maybe you can agree with me on that. I think it's still on Amazon and Kindle in English. So if someone is interested and you cannot have it by Amazon, you can write to me and I will send it to you.
How do they get in touch with you?
They get in touch with me by mail, by Instagram, by Facebook, by Twitter, and I'm going to write down my email here, okay?
Okay.
It's with you. That's it.
There we go. So Mariel, Mariel, HAWLEY at yahoo.com.mx for Mexico. And Mariel, I just have to say, I know we're a little bit limited on time on your end, but this has been inspirational, motivational, incredible. You have had an incredible life. You have motivated so many people, and there's so many people that are going to hear this and be motivated by everything that you've done. Good friend of mine, Jim Rohn, wrote a book a number of years ago called The Seasons of Life. And it was metaphors for the seasons. And, he said in it, since the beginning of time, what's there been, right? Seed, soil, sunshine, rain, miracle of life. Well, you've taken all of those things and turned it into an incredible, incredible life. So congratulations. And as we say in Mexico, right? Fantastico.
I'm gonna finish with something that I live, that I'm sure that when I swam the first time the Sugaru Channel, I had a storm coming and I was so mad because I was swimming during the storm, and that was my opportunity to swim the Sugaru Channel in Japan. And I was so mad because the captain of the boat asked me to quit the swim. I couldn't keep going. And I was swimming, and when I had my head on the water, I saw that the heart of the sea was in total peace. It was calm. So it was a shock for me because I said, this is what I want to have in life. For all the storms in my life, I want to have a heart just like the heart of the sea, which is all the time in peace, at peace. So
beautiful. Well said. Well said. Well, thank you so much. So in signing off, this is John Solider. I'm the host of Leaving Nothing to Chance podcasts on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and a number of other podcasts around the world. I'm also the author of Leave Nothing to Chance and also Moving Up 2020, available on Amazon. And once again, I just want to thank my good friend, my good new friend, inspirational Mariel Hawley. thank you once again, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, John, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Whoops, we should be, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, well, good. So that was fun. That was,
Thank you.